In 1994, President Clinton signed the Freedom to Access to Clinic Act. The purpose of the act was to protect clinics against terroristic threats and ensure the safety of all of the staff and patients. The enforcement of this act is with the U.S. Attorney General and with the state attorneys general as well. In the nearly 20 years since its enactment, no Pennsylvania Attorney General has prosecuted any cases under this statute. So the question is, how would you respond, or how would you deal with this? And can you think of an instance during that 20-year period of time when a prosecution was not pursued but should have been?
Yeah, that's a very good question, because we've had doctors who've been murdered for practicing medicine, not in Pennsylvania, but across the country because of certain ideology. And this is America. We could have different beliefs when it comes to a woman's right to choose, but those beliefs should never morph into terrorist acts. You know, both Kathleen and I were prosecutors. I remember one of my first cases as a federal prosecutor, as a special assistant U.S. attorney. It was in a courtroom in New York, and the defendant threatened me from the witness stand. When I was in Iraq, you know, I'm prosecuting high-level religious clerics who were shooting at us and mortaring us during the court proceedings. That wasn't exactly easy. And, you know, my commute to work was with a Humvee down what's called Ambush Alley. You know, I prosecuted terrorists. And when someone threatens someone's life, that is a crime, period. And they should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. You know, being an American citizen and being a Pennsylvanian, you know, it is a right to have a safe community. And if someone threatens your livelihood, if someone threatens your life, doesn't make you comfortable. And I know, you know, when these things happen, I know when I was in Congress, the night the healthcare bill vote, I got a call on my phone. They said, when I come back to Bucks County, I'm dead. And all I kept thinking about is my wife Jenny and my daughter Maggie Murphy, who's 5 years old, and my son Jack, who's 2. It was not easy. But you have to be willing to stand on your own 2 feet. You know, my father used to tell my brother, sister, and I, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And if there's things that are happening in Pennsylvania, I don't know of any cases, personally. But if there's cases that happen, situations you have evidence, you better well damn enforce the law. You shouldn't care if they're Democrat or Republican, you enforce the laws in the books. And that's what you need in the Attorney General. An independent voice that does the right thing all the time.
Like I said in my opening, the Attorney General is the chief law enforcement officer of the state of Pennsylvania. You enforce the laws of Pennsylvania. You need to know the laws of Pennsylvania. You need to know where to find terroristic threats in the imperdence. You need to know what section it is. You need to know the elements. You need to know what you have to do to investigate the crime and what you need to do to prove it in the courtroom. You need to know what murder statutes are. You need to know the grading, first, second, and third degree murder. You need to know the elements of them. You need to know how to investigate them, and you need to know how to prove them in a court of law, because guess what? The police out on the street can work all night for days on end, and they do, and I'm right there with them. But when they bring it into the courtroom, I am the last line of defense against an injustice. I need to know what I'm doing. I've prosecuted, I couldn't even tell you how many terroristic threats cases. It's extremely common, unfortunately. But I've also prosecuted murder cases pursuant to the laws of Pennsylvania. You must know what you're doing. The Supreme Court won't even allow you in the courtroom unless you prove you know what you're doing in a murder case. It takes credentials, it takes training, it takes being there and doing it and working with the police officers day in and day out, and it takes being in the courtroom. I have done that already. What everything boils down to is, you know, the question that Paul asked, even the question with regard to a woman's right to choose. It's the Office of Attorney General that we are running for. It is enforcing the laws. You need to know what the laws are before you can enforce them. It is a leadership position, there is no doubt, because when an agent comes to you and says, there was an abortion clinic that was just blown up in Philadelphia, now what? You need to know where to go and what to do, and you need to spring into action right then and there. You don't have the opportunity to call in 20 people and say, what now? That's a leader. That's exactly what this question is, and I will submit to you that because I have been in the courtroom so many times with so many of these cases, prosecuting terroristic threats, prosecuting murder cases, going to the appeals for murder cases, whether it's a PCRA, which is Post-Conviction Relief Act, or the appeals court, or writing the briefs. I've been there, I've done it. And you can trust that I will do it again because I have a track record. And my track record will stand up to the Republican nominee's track record in the fall because I have cases I can point to. And it is tragic that things like that happen. There is no doubt. But we can't let another injustice occur by putting an attorney general who has no experience. And I submit to you that I have that. Thank you.